Okay, so the first thing we gotta do, obviously this is massive, so we're gonna have to cut this off. So that is gonna be number one. Also, this faucet here is dripping a little bit, so I need to get that kind of stopped up before we go ahead and make this repair. Do that real quick. So the nice thing is this is a very stiff fiberglass tub, which is better because the repair should hold up better, being that case. Now, so I always carry around, I have these 30-ounce cups in my bag at all times. So we're just gonna take that under this and stop this from dripping, and then I will dry it up. I'll dry that up. Looks super wet. Well, we have 4 people. Okay guys, well, welcome to the Tub Repair Company, tubrepairstore.com. So we're going to be repairing this. This would essentially be a large wall repair kit at tubrepairstore.com is what we're going to use. And we're going to use an additional can of glass putty, which you can actually get at checkout. So that's what we're using today. We're going to go through the whole process and kind of show you how we would repair this. So on a crack like this, we've kind of already mentioned it, but I'll mention it again. We're going to basically cut off those cracks that are shooting off the damage. So I've got a 1/8 inch drill bit here. And I'm just going to put a hole right at the end of each crack. That was a little thin there. That crack was a little thin too. That's all right. Okay. So that's pretty straightforward. Now, I got to prep the surface, so this is all part of prepping the surface. So, so you get those holes in there. Now we're going to actually sand that surface down and make sure it's ready to take on the coating. And I've got the using one of our disposable respirators today. I think it'll just be easier for me to talk to you guys and whatnot. So make sure you can see that okay. Now it's going to get a little loud here. I'm going to hook up the vacuum and the sander, and we're going to go ahead and sand this surface. So this is how we do it. You definitely want to have a vacuum if you can. Hook it to your orbital sander. It's going to cut down a lot on the dust and whatnot, so highly recommend that. So we've got 80 grit sandpaper hooked to our orbital sander in the vacuum here, and we're just going to scuff this whole area and get ready for the glass putty here. So we always clean up your repair area. Kind of every time you hit it with the sander, you want to get that dust off of there and get it ready for the coating that you're going to use. Now also, I'm using acetone on this paper towel. We do encourage you, if you're unsure about what material you're working with, test that acetone out on the surface before you go wiping it all over the tub. Most tubs are not a problem, especially fiberglass tubs with a gel coat. That's not a problem. But if you get into some like plastic tubs, or there's a new material that they're using called polystyrene, that, you know, it's essentially like putting acetone on styrofoam. That's what polystyrene is. It's like compressed styrofoam, which I don't know why they would do that, but that's what they're making tubs out of nowadays. So we're going to go ahead and use some mesh tape to cover this. Now keep in mind, your kits will have mesh tape in them. And one like this would have plenty of mesh tape in one kit. Like I said, we would include additional mesh tape if you were to order an additional can of glass putty, which in this case, we did bring 2 cans of glass putty just in case. I knew it was going to be pretty big, but we just want to make sure we get it thick enough and strong enough, especially being below the water line. We just want to be sure it's large enough. So we go through the same process every time. This is still part of prepping the surface. So on the first step of prepping the surface, you know, if you've got a crack like this, you drill the holes in the crack. Then you scuff the surface using your sandpaper. And then you mesh tape. You want to clean that dust off after you sand it, just in case. I'm going to go ahead and do one more little piece of mesh tape right there on that curve. But we do include everything in the kit that you would need to do this repair. Like I said, maybe one additional can of glass putty, which you can add at checkout. I'm going to go ahead and put one little piece of mesh tape over that hole. So we'll have that there. Okay, so we just want to seal that up so we're not pushing a bunch of glass putty through this crack. Now we're good to go on that. So now this is our first live stream, so be patient with us. If you do have any questions, put them in the chat. We'll try to get to them after. Because right now I'm just trying to keep moving on this stuff. I might look at it while the glass putty's setting up, but I don't want to mess up the shot. So here we go. We're going to use it. This is 1 can of glass putty. This would normally be what comes in your large wall repair kit. Like I said, we have an additional can. If I think we need it, we'll use it. So now also be aware, our glass putty is changing colors. So in past videos, you've seen a dark green glass putty. Now it's more like what I would call like a tub repair blue. But it's just a much brighter blue. It all reacts the same, it all sets up the same, so there's really no change there. They just changed the color on us, and that's fine. Okay, so we got the glass putty there, and this is that blue cream hardener. Obviously we run around with bigger tubes than we put in a single-use kit, but it doesn't take much. The minimum ratio calls for 1 to 50. You know, that's the minimum ratio. So it's not an exact science. You just want to, you know, I always compare it to like a baseball to a marble or something like that. We're just going to stir this up in here. And you just want to make sure all your blue streaks are out of it. Gets back to kind of a solid color. Okay. Now I am anticipating having multiple coats of this on here. That's why I'm only mixing up about maybe half of the can. I got a little dirty there, so I shouldn't have done that, but here we go. So we'll just spread it on. And you're just trying to set the foundation first for you to kind of build on top of. So not trying to, this is not going to be the final coat. This is not going to be as strong as it's going to be, but really just trying to get a good seal on that first, and then we'll start building it up and feathering it out more, and just trying to make sure it's strong enough before we move forward. So the nice thing about this glass putty, you know, whenever when we do our final layer of it, we'll want to give it 30 minutes to set up. But you know, right now I've probably got about 2 to 3 minutes to kind of play with it before it starts setting on me. So that's good. So that's just going to seal that up, and I'm going to build on top of it and smooth that out as we go forward. So I always recommend clean up your tools in between each phase. We just use the acetone. So in your kit, you'll get an 8-ounce bottle of acetone with a spray nozzle. That kind of helps you use your acetone more efficiently. We also include 4 gloves, not just 2, because we know, you know, things happen during the project. Your gloves can get kind of nasty, and at some point you just want to retire them and put on some fresh ones. So I'll try to keep these gloves as good as I can for now. I got a little messy on that one. I don't normally get that messy, but I'm nervous, I guess, being live on TV with 9 audience members. This is bonkers. So thank you for joining us. It's probably my wife and all of her family or something that that are actually watching this. But let me know if you have any questions. This is a good demonstration of how to use our large wall repair kits. So, you know, for these mixing pads, we don't include a mixing pad necessarily, but you could cut up your cardboard box that your kit comes in, and just use pieces of cardboard. Another easy one would be like paper plates. If you have any paper plates sitting around, that would be super great just to use those and throw those away as you go. So I'm going to let that set up for a second. Now, when you're doing multiple coats, you don't have to let it set up for the full 30 minutes before you put another coat on it. So the main thing you want to do on each coat is really just try to make sure it's fairly smooth. That way you don't have any jagged edges and you won't create any air pockets when you do multiple coats. So that's kind of the main thing. I'm going to let that set up for a little bit. I will hit it with a blow dryer just to kind of speed that up a little bit. And then I'll show you we can actually touch it. And as long as it's not coming off on my glove, see right now it's still very wet. So we're going to just leave that be. But about 10 minutes, I'm going to kind of get that set up, and then we'll do another coat of the glass putty, and we'll start to decide how much glass putty we'll put on it. I do think I'm going to go ahead and use the second can as well. But another thing you can do, I do like to kind of clean up my edges a little bit. We're going to sand it down there anyway, but it's kind of good. So I'm just trying to speed that up a little bit. It's starting to harden, but it's going to take just a second. So just keep in mind, you know, if you ever have any questions or you have a damage like this and you're not sure how to approach it, or you know, you're not sure if one kit will work or if you need an extra can of glass putty or something, just give us a call. We're happy to walk you through how we would approach the repair. You know, we've helped a lot of customers. They'll just call in, they'll text us a picture of their damage, especially like on floor cracks or something. I might show them like where I would drill the holes and how I would approach that. So yeah, we're just trying to help you save this tub. So like, save your tub. So like this tub, obviously, this was completely dead. And this is actually in a hotel. And so, you know, we want to save this tub. Otherwise, you know, this room's going to be down. It's going to cost them thousands of dollars to try to replace this tub. And so we just want to repair this tub and make it look good. So, you know, we're going to be saving them thousands and thousands of dollars. Plus, you know, time down on the job. So anyway, so we're just kind of, there we go. So that's what I'm talking about. Now it's starting to, you'll feel it, it's kind of warmer, and that's going to naturally warm up as it reacts. So this is good enough, so we're going to move forward on another coat. Now, I don't recommend ever trying to use, especially on like one like this where you know you're going to do multiple coats, or you know it's like a really bad damage and you're going to have to build it up. I don't recommend trying to use a whole can of glass putty at once. That can be a little intimidating, and it can get out of hand. You probably won't be able to actually get it all on the surface because it'll be too much, and you got to really build it up and not just slap it on there. So you'll see that first, we've got just a little bit left in here. So that first little batch was probably a little less than half a can. You'll be surprised at actually how much glass putty is in one of these cans. It's more than you would expect. So on this second coat, I'm just going to use almost the second half. There's a little bit left in there. I am planning on using a third and possibly a fourth coat. So there's no need to worry about that. Now, like I said, this hardener, obviously yours is going to come in like a 1 ounce tube, but it's the same product, and it's not an exact science on the hardener. So you know, the minimum ratio calls for 1 to 50. That's the minimum ratio. You can definitely be over that ratio some. You know, I wouldn't recommend being like 1 to 1 or 1 to 2 or anything like that, but you know, we give you essentially 1 to 12, which is 4 times as much hardener as you would actually need. So you've got more than enough hardener to activate all of the putty, the glass putty, and the finished putty that comes in a kit. So you just want to mix it up real good. You got plenty of time. You got about 2 to 3 minutes, depending on the temperature of your bathroom, to play around with that. So here, just going to take a little and start building it up right along that crack, and try to level that out too. So you want to give it a durability, the girth, but you also want to be aware of feathering this out too. Okay, that's probably good on that one. Like I said, just clean it up. Now, in between coats, you don't have to sand it in between coats. If you have any real large protrusions, big pieces of glass sticking out or something. That's why you want to try to keep it smooth as you're spreading it on there. But if it does get a little rough on you, so let's say you're spreading it on, you're spreading, and then it starts to set up. If you go too long and it actually starts to set up on you, it'll start to clump up on you, and then it'll get really, kind of just really uneven, really nasty, and it won't smooth out, it'll just be clumpy. And so if you get in a situation like that, you may need to use a putty scraper or possibly knock it down a little bit with the sander and smooth it out before you do the next coat. Like I said, you could use paper plates. That would be a good replacement for something like that. It'd be very simple. So, gonna do the same thing, just kind of let that set up. We'll probably do 2 more coats just to make sure we're getting it nice and thick, nice and firm. Again, a little paper towel, just fold it over into a square. Get it. Now keep in mind your kit would have the squirt bottle of acetone, so that's really helpful as you're kind of doing this. So okay, so looking good so far. I think you know, one thing you can do is if you get out here and it's already kind of hardened up like that, if you have a putty scraper, you just kind of scrape it off. It's not fully set up yet, so it'll just kind of scrape off of there. If you gotta clean it up, you know. Otherwise, that'll sand down just fine. It's no big deal. So, you know, in the chat, this is actually our first time to do a live stream, so I'm really not sure if you have questions. I don't know how to necessarily look at that right now, but I will check them out. So if you do have questions, just put them in the chat, and we'll definitely check those out after the stream, and I'll answer any questions I can. And like I said, if you have a damage in your tub that you're unsure about how to repair or which kit you need to do, just give us a call or text us pictures, or we'll give you a number to text. It's our service line. You can text pictures over and we'll take a look at it and then just tell you how we would approach it. And we're just trying to save your tub, save you thousands of money, thousands of dollars, especially right now at Christmas. Hey, Merry Christmas, by the way, everybody that's in here. It is Christmas Eve. We got a chance to do this job. I saw the picture of it and I thought, man, you know, this would be a pretty good job to do like a good demonstration on. So anyway, I'm glad I got the chance to do this. This might be a little Christmas present to me from God. He just said, hey, you need to do a live stream, and that's actually why we're doing this, because I kind of felt like, I don't know, I just thought I need to do a live stream, so I'm just doing it. See how it works. So let's check this. Yeah, so starting to warm up. I can definitely feel that getting nice and warm. So the warmer that gets as you build this up, the less time you'll actually have to work with your putty once it hits that, because it's getting so much warmer. So very common to warm up, and you know, we're starting to get some durability there. Now I do feel kind of the contours right here where this crack is, so I'm going to really try to build this area up right there. So I'm going to go ahead and scrape this can completely out. And this just kind of shows this is one can, so we're just actually getting into the last bit of what I would consider what would be actually one large wall repair kit. This is the final part of the glass putty in that large wall repair kit. Now, why we say, you know, really, if your repair is a lot bigger, you know, most times all you're really actually going to need is an extra can of glass putty, because you got to really build it up and make it thick and durable. I mean, my one can of finish putty that comes in the kit, that's going to be more than enough to cover this. So I'm not worried about that. My coating material is going to be just fine. So it's really the glass putty is what makes the difference between, like, if your repair is really dramatic or, you know, quite large like this, you just might need more glass putty. That's generally all you would need. Okay, so this is the final bit of the first can. That's actually still quite a bit. So you'll see, you know, the first two batches were a little less than half a can each. This is probably about a quarter of a can here. I am going to make this just a little bit thicker. So I'm going to go ahead and open up my second can here. And like I said, you'll see in a lot of our videos, this glass putty is dark green. Our supplier has recently changed the putty. We do like it. We like it a lot, actually. And it's more like our colors, so that's cool. But it all reacts just the same, sets up just the same. So really no change there, just a change in the color. So if you see that, just be aware of that. We've also toyed around with the idea of using a red cream hardener. We've tried it. It really doesn't. I was thinking it would turn this purple. It does not turn it purple, so I don't know that we're going to change that. But if you ever did see us see a red cream hardener in your kit, don't be alarmed. It's going to act just like a blue cream hardener, just a different color. So here we go. This is the same hardener you would get. Obviously, you would just get a 1 ounce tube. This is about a 4 ounce tube or 6 ounce tube there. So that's generally what we'll run around with. Now remember, the minimum ratio is 1 to 50. It's hard to measure that, but don't get hung up on it. That's just a minimum ratio. You know, I always just compare it to a baseball to a marble, a ping pong ball to like a rolled up gum wrapper or something like that. I'll stir it up. And now we're just, you know, we're really just trying to make sure this has got that durability. We're going to smooth over where we see that contour of that crack. Just kind of getting that ready. Okay, so I'm really going to focus right there where I see that contour. I want to make sure that gets filled in and nice and thick there. Yeah, I mean, that's going to be, I want that to be at least probably about almost a 1/4 inch thick right there over that cracked area. Now you will notice we kept the, you know, I didn't bust this whole thing out. That would be crazy. The piece that was still in there, where it was cracked around, that was still firm. You know, it had some firmness to it, but you know, this glass putty is going to start sticking to that, and it's going to make it even more firm. So okay, so it's going to start setting up on me here a little quicker. Just remember that if you're doing multiple coats, as you go, it's going to start warming up that surface. And so I'm working on a much warmer surface. Now, one thing you do notice, as you go and it starts to react, it actually gets a little stiffer, not quite like clumping up yet, but just a little stiffer. And that may help you. That may work to your advantage while you're spreading it. So anyway, it's starting to set, so I'm going to leave that be. So you notice there, I only had about a minute, but that surface, if you felt it right now, it's getting quite warm. It's probably over 100 degrees right now on that surface. So Merry Christmas to anybody that's out there. Hopefully you guys are having a good holiday season. Hopefully you're not stressing out about Christmas presents and a broken tub. Let us know if you have any questions. If you do have a broken tub, I do believe we can save you a lot of money. If we can save your tub, I do think we can. Okay, so that's coat number 3. And notice just on these large repairs like this, I just take my time, I just build it up. You don't have to wait too awful long in between coats, especially as it starts to warm that surface up. You can probably wait less than 10 minutes. Like I said, the main thing is you want the surface not to come off on your gloves when you touch it. So, and I always just clean your surface up. Clean it up a little bit as you're going through it. Piece of mesh tape in there. Doesn't really matter. Yeah, I'm gonna leave it for now. I'll pull it out when it gets a little harder. Still just a little soft. So, you probably go ahead and just do another couple. Coats just to make sure. I still see a slight contour where that crack was, just barely. So I will go ahead and kind of build that up, and then I'm going to go ahead and just try to work on my edges here and really make it nice and feathered down. Shouldn't be too noticeable of a hump there. I do have it quite a little thicker here in the middle. Yeah. So we're already ready to go to the next one. And I feel just a little contour, so we're going to fix that up. Okay, so I'm just going to plan on 2 more coats. So this coat will be a larger one, the last coat will be kind of a smaller one if I need to finish out any areas or anything like that. We give you a paint stick, which will work just fine to pull that putty out of your can. So use your paint stick. That's what it's there for, is to pull that putty out of your cans and stuff. Just wipe it off when you're done, because I'll use that again on the finished putty. So this is a little bit larger batch, but that's no problem. Because this one we're going to spread out quite a bit more. So, same thing, I will say it again because I get those calls. 1 to 50, it is not an exact ratio, it's a minimum ratio, so you can be over on that. In one kit, we give you 12 ounces of putty and 1 ounce of hardener, so you actually have about 4 times as much hardener as you should actually need. So just be aware of that. Oh, another thing that's coming in 2025, we are currently working on it, is the Pro Portal. So if there's anybody out there that's actually like, they watch this and they're like, man, I think I could actually do that. I mean, you could actually do it. I'm charging $350 on this, just telling you guys how much I'm charging. Is what I'm in. I probably could have charged a little more, but I wanted to be sure I got the job. And I generally do have pretty standard pricing, so this was a little more than I would charge on like what I would consider a normal level 2, because it was a little larger. But just something to keep in mind. It's been a nice trade for me and my family. And so anyway, what I was getting at, was if you ever wanted to look into tub repair as a profession, and kind of learn how we do it, not just the trade part of it, but also the business part of it. We've got a pro portal coming up that we're going to release where you can buy individual products in larger quantities to really allow you to make your tub repair business very profitable. But also we're going to have some courses that we're going to be putting out and holding actually here in Springfield. And so we would encourage you, if you have any desire for that, just give us a call. We can talk to you about what all that would entail. But essentially our goal is to set you up with exactly the same setup that we have. It's not going to be a franchise, so we're not going to control how you run your business. But we want to give you the tools, at least to run your business like we do, and then give you the freedom to run your business in your market how you see that it maybe needs to be run up there, or some markets may allow for higher prices, some markets may require lower prices, and so we'll go through all of that with you. And so yeah, we just kind of give you all of our business, how we do our business, especially the service side of the business. And yeah, it's a nice little job, very clean, compact, get in and out. It's not too hard on your body. You just wear a respirator. Most times I'll be wearing actually, more of a heavy duty respirator, I guess you'd say, or one of the larger respirators I guess you'd get from like a box store, or we get them from our suppliers, but they're they got the silicone face mask and the cartridges, and they just last a lot longer, and they're just a little more durable to be wearing every day. We are definitely getting there. So we'll do one more of these, and then we're going to go into matching the color. Appreciate your patience. I know this is probably kind of like watching paint dry, but this is just the process that we use. It's definitely coming along. I like where we're at here. Yeah, it's still soft here, so give that just a little longer. So, if you guys have any questions, let us know. Hopefully everybody has some holiday plans. Hopefully if you're anywhere in the Midwest, you might be getting rained on today, and that's not as fun, but I would love to have snow. That would be quite nice, but I don't think we're going to get that for Christmas, so bummer, but it's quite okay. So yeah, just kind of waiting on this one to kind of get set up a little bit more, and then we'll put that last coat on there, and then we're going to match the color, get our batch set up. And like I said, so larger damages like this was a very massive damage. This was like a crack about right there all the way up to here, so it's almost the size of like a women's basketball. Luckily the whole thing didn't get punched out, otherwise we'd be probably looking at using several cans of glass putty. But the one thing is, a large wall repair kit would include everything you needed. On one this size, we went ahead and it would take an additional can of glass putty to make this repair. So we would recommend you can purchase that at checkout. So so when you're checking out, you'll see some additions, some add-ons you can have. So you'll get that at checkout. Okay, so we're definitely warming up here. It's not really coming off on my hand yet. Okay, so I'm gonna just really build this spot up right here. This will be my final coat. We'll build this spot up right here, and then we'll move forward. like I said, this is our first live stream. So you know, I'm not able to answer chats. Really, I wish people could call in. That would be the best way. Best way for us to interact with anybody watching this is if you had a question, you could like call in, and I could answer your question with my voice. But we will look at the chats. Hopefully, you're not roasting me too bad in the chats, but we'll check out the chats afterwards. We'll answer any questions that we have, and just know if you've got a damaged tub or something, you're not sure how to fix it, give us a call, message us, you know, get a hold of us. We will help you, you know, kind of talk to you about how we would approach a repair, especially if we can see the repair. Okay, so this last coat, like I said, I'm going to just kind of focus in that one little area. It just seems a little bit lower. Now I know it's got some girth to it, but okay. Okay, it is best to just take your time when you're building up your glass putty. So you notice this is, I think this is the 5th coat. If I'm not mistaken, I'll have to come back and actually watch, 5th or 6th. So, you know, the first one, it's just to kind of set that foundation, and then each one after that's kind of building it up. Okay. Alright, so that's that. We're going to let that set. 2 full cans of glass putty. Like I said, that would be the only additional thing you would need on a repair this size is the glass putty, just to thicken that repair up, thick enough to where it's going to be strong when it's set. So now we are going to give that 30 minutes to set up. In the meantime, I'm going to go ahead and mix up my color, match the color, and talk to you about that. That is probably, this is probably, I would say it's not extremely difficult, but it's probably more difficult than anything else in the project, is really just matching the color. This looks fairly straightforward, but it does look like a little different color of a tub. So we're going to see what color actually works best on it. If you got a little trash bucket with a lid on it, that helps a lot. Okay. Alright, so we always include 4 of these cups. Do not measure your product specifically by this. This will give you an idea, but generally it's actually under probably about 1/8 of an ounce if you look at how the cup is designed and where that 1/4 mark lines up. It's going to be off just a little bit. So the first thing we do is I just like to determine what color is closest to the actual color of the tub. So we're going to this is gray white, which is a color, all the colors will be included in your kit. You'll get 2 ounces of each color in your kit. So I was thinking, yeah, it's got just a little hint of gray, but yeah, it's too gray. Not too surprising. I almost think it's got some almond in it. This is a little different color, so it'll be interesting to see. This one was gold white. We're going to see how this one kind of shapes up. Yeah, okay. Yeah, gold white, too white, but it's not too gray, so that's nice. This is going to be looking like it's either going to be gloss white and almond, and possibly a touch of gray in it too. This is an interesting color. That's gloss white. I just wanted to show you that one. And we go to the almond. See, it dries on my finger pretty darn quick. So when you're doing this, just stir it around till it gets a little sticky, and then let it be. I'll blow it out. Okay. So looking at that, yeah, this will be an interesting color match. I think. So basically, I think I'm going to go with gold and almond, and see if I can get there with that. This will probably be an actually pretty in-depth color demonstration, so that could be beneficial. So, okay, so I'm going to use gold white as my base. So just know your darker colors, like almond, are going to move your batch color much quicker. I also know that I'm going to target about at least 2 ounces of resin on this, and so I'm only at about 1 ounce right here, but I don't want to burn up too much product trying to figure out where this is at. So we include the stir stick as well. And just remember, when you're mixing your product, just keep that batch real small until you hit the color that you want. Because once you start getting up past 1 ounce, you're going to take a lot more product to move your color. Not too bad, actually. A little bigger drop on there. So that's a little gold white, a little almond. It's not too bad. It's not too bad, but this is actually a little bit of a difficult color match. So the almond is almost too gold, the gold white's too white. And I did think this would be the case. I think I'm going to need to use just a little bit of gray white in here to knock down that gold. So just know that gold and gray will counteract each other. So we have, if it's looking too gold, then you can add some gray to kind of counteract that. And then I may even need to add some gloss to lighten it up because it may darken down too much. So this is what I would consider, a fairly in-depth color match, actually, because normally our colors are spot on. This looks like kind of a light biscuit, which you run into biscuits occasionally, but not very often. And so biscuit actually has, you know, some brown almond tones, but then a lot of gray in there too. You don't really notice it until you get that almond in there and you see that it's quite a bit more gold. So this one, they actually take all 4 colors, which in one way is good because it allows me to have more product available to my color match. But another way, it can make it difficult because it's you know, you're using all 4 colors. But yeah, so this is looking quite a bit better there. Yeah, so it knocked down that gold a little bit. It's bringing it more to where we need it. I think I actually needed more gray. But getting very close. In fact, that would almost pass the test, you know, if you were doing DIY, you know, I don't know. That would almost pass the test, but I am going to go ahead. I think we could just go a little bit more gray. And actually, I'm going to go just a touch of gray. Now, one thing I always recommend is, and then we actually have to build the batch up. So, one thing I always recommend is once you hit that color, then you build your batch up slowly, and 2 ounces of resin is going to be quite a bit. So I do think 2 ounces of resin is going to be enough to coat this. We may make a little extra resin. So one thing you can do if you're unsure, you can build your batch up to, like, let's say, you know, 3 ounces of resin, and start out with mixing 2 ounces of resin together. Set your 3rd ounce of resin off to the side, and then if you do need to add more resin, I'll show you how you can do that. So that's probably the approach we will take. Okay. Now I think we just need to lighten it up a little bit. Just a little, that's not much. That would probably pass the test, but we want to ace the test is our goal. And we still got to build up our batch. So we're just slowly building up. I'm at about 1.5 ounces here. Like I said, just want to take your time on this part. Every time you add color to it, test your swatch because you want to see what that color did to it. And then plan your next move. Don't just add 3 colors and then see where it's at, because you won't know what did what necessarily. So yeah, there we go. That's getting there. That's about where we need it. So now we need to build up our batch. I'm going to go ahead and clear this slate, because even though I think I'm close here and I think I have an idea of how to build this batch up, I am still going to keep doing my swatches as I add a little color. Now, as I'm building this batch up, I'm going to add a little bit of almond. Not much. Be careful with this almond. It's pretty dark, so it can really move your product. And then I'm going to add a little bit more of our gold white, the base. That was the most of what is in there is gold white, so I'm going to bring that up. Okay, I'm getting there. Okay, I'm at about 2¼ ounces right now. And so I'm going to go ahead and mix that up and see where we're sitting. I have a feeling I'm going to. So basically what I did is I just added kind of what I started with, mostly gold white with a little bit of almond. I just added that back in, and then we will adjust it as needed. So just take your time on this, you know, be careful. You know, you got open resin, you know, just be very careful, hold your cup, know where your stick's at. we may need to, yeah, probably need some gray in there, which I suspected. Not too far. Yeah, probably just a touch of gray. And that's a hair dye thing, I think, right? Touch of gray. All right, we're at about 2.5, a little over, maybe around 2.5 ounces. We're very close here already. I do think a little bit of gray is going to help that darken it down just a hair. I may have to add just a pinch of almond. Now the other thing to remember is as your batch gets bigger like this, it takes more resin to move the color. So, you know, where, you know, what would have moved it at 1 ounce is not going to move it the same at 2 ounces. It should, you know, I guess technically take double to move it the same amount, if that makes sense. So here we go. I'm feeling very good about that. I mean, geez, that's almost just perfect. I think the only thing I might add just a hint of gray, and then probably just a touch of gloss white. We'll see how this gray reacts. And then I think maybe just a touch of gloss white just to lighten it up a shade. Now be careful when you're stirring this up here. You're getting a pretty full cup, so just be careful. You know, I like to wipe it off my stick. You don't want any single colored resin on there. You want the mixed colored resin. You want that whole batch to stir up, so kind of scrape the edges. You know, this, just don't get in a hurry right here. This, you know, we got product setting up. Just take your time on this. This is how you really make that repair. See, and I can, yeah, okay, so this is the one. I had a little trouble even seeing my last swatch, which is perfect. That's what you want. That's a good way to test it. In fact, you can, one good way to test actually how well it's matching is if you take your eyes away from it for a little bit and then look back at it and see if you can find it. Okay, I'm going to do just a dab of gold white, just lighten it just a hair, and then I think we're calling it. We're calling it. Okay, so this is exactly where I wanted to be. I've got almost 3 ounces of resin here. And so I do think 2 ounces, what we're going to start with is 2 ounces. That'll be a good way to show you about how much 2 ounces will cover. So we're going to start with that. And then we'll have an extra about almost 1 ounce of resin off to the side. If we need to mix more up, we can. So that's going to be my approach. You know, 2 ounces of resin really does go a long way. So just know that. You don't have to necessarily do that. You can just set that over there because you're going to wipe that surface up anyway. Now, this is the part that gives most people trouble. Now, we don't get a lot of these calls, but of the calls that we get where people are having difficulties, the sprayer, and you'll see that in our comments. It's just, you know, it is what it is. But I'm telling you, We include one full spray system with the glass jar, and then we also include a backup spray system in your kit. So you have 2 spray systems. We use these day in and day out, so I know they can malfunction. I also know the rate at which they malfunction, and if you get 2 that malfunction, the probability of that is highly unlikely. So just know if both of them are malfunctioning, it is probably your coating is too thick. So we're going to talk about that right now. So when you're doing this, do not use this cup to measure. Use this glass jar and these ounce markings on this side. So we're going to measure out 2 ounces. I'm just going to turn it my way so I can see it. All right, I've got right at 2 ounces, just to the top side of that 2 ounce tick there. And so that's how I measure. I don't care what's left in there. That's not what I'm worried about or what came out of there. I'm worried about how much is showing in here, okay? Now, I take my catalyst and I'm going to add this straight to my solution. So the minimum ratio here on the catalyst calls for 4 parts resin, 1 part catalyst, and 2 parts reducer. That is the minimum ratio. So with 2 ounces of resin, I should have at least ½ an ounce of catalyst. Now you can be over that. So just know that in this instance, I could go all the way up to, 3/4 of an ounce of catalyst and be fine. So you want to be over, not under. So here I'm going to add some catalyst, bringing it up. Don't be fooled by the meniscus. See, and I'm in between, I'm probably about 3/4 of an ounce of catalyst, and that's okay. Just don't want to be under ½ an ounce of catalyst there. So, in that range. Now, 4 parts resin, 1 part catalyst, 2 parts reducer. So the reducer right here, I need to have at least 1 ounce of reducer. And again, you can go over that. So here, I'm at about 2 3/4 of product right now. So I want to go up to at least 3 3/4. And I'll probably just go ahead and bring it all the way to 4. Now there is a little meniscus on your jar. And what that is where the product will curve up the jar a little bit, and it's about 1/8 ounce that it kind of distorts what it looks like. So just know that, and just know that you need to be over the ratio, not under. So every time I get a phone call, it does seem like every time, most times, I won't say every time because there's probably some time where it didn't, but where they say, well, both my spray systems didn't work, and I ask them, I say, well, how did you measure your product? And they say, well, I measured it in the paper cup and then I poured it into the glass jar. Just know those paper cups, they're going to be off about 1/8 of an ounce. They'll be short, especially on the low end where you're below an ounce. It's going to be short. And then also you're going to have product that sticks in the cup and doesn't get transferred, which is going to take even more away from it. So use the glass jar to measure your cup. That is number 1 thing. And then also stir it up really well. See, I'm not just swirling this around. I'm like really stirring it, scraping these walls, scraping the bottom. You want to make sure that it gets fully mixed. Okay, so I think we're good to go. I've got my extra ounce of resin here, roughly. I'm just going to set that away, out of the way, and I'm going to go here. Okay, and then we always take the filter cap off of this straw. So this is actually a pre-val that we've used before. We cleaned it out, now it's ready to use again. You can always tell when you shake it how much liquid feels like it's in there. So this one's still quite full. So we're going to set this off to the side. It is ready to go. And I'm just going to move that over here. Okay. Now, let's feel, yeah, nice and cooled off. Very pleased with that. So yeah, we're good to go. So I'm going to use my 80 grit sandpaper, my orbital sander, and my vacuum, and I'm just going to go ahead and sand this down. You always want to test that strength. So if you kind of knocking on it, it doesn't feel strong, then you do want to like go back. Even if you gotta, we'll send you out more putty maybe, or figure out, you may have to thicken that up. But you always want to test the strength right now, because that's going to be about as strong as it's going to be. So here we go. home stretch here. Everything looking good. Oh, always be sure to wipe your swatches off these edges. You can easily forget they're there because you can't really see them. So, anyway, so that's sanded really smooth. I'm very happy about it. Now, one thing you'll notice is it's not perfectly smooth. There's little spots there, and that's okay on this glass putty. You don't need it to be perfectly smooth. That's what the finish putty is for. So, okay. So just remember, if you're just joining us, we had a crack about right here, all the way up to here. That's a very large crack. So we've got one large wall repair kit plus an extra can of glass putty, and that's why we offer the extra can of glass putty. That's really all you'd be short if you needed, if you were working on a very large repair, you know, bigger than what we recommend for one can of, or one large wall repair kit. Get the extra can of glass putty. We'll send you extra mesh tape. You'll see in some of our videos that we repair very large holes, so you may need extra mesh tape. This wasn't a large hole, so it didn't require the extra mesh tape. So anyway, here we are. It's very solid. We're happy with it. So now we just got to finish out the repair, and we'll just close it out. So next thing I'm using is the finish putty. This comes in your large wall repair kit. So the finish putty, now, like I said, this will be plenty of finish putty to cover this because you're not really building it up. You're just trying to get one even smooth layer over the top of it, so that it's nice and smooth when you spray it. So that's all we're going to do. We use quite a bit of it just to make sure we have enough, but it really should be, you know, as long as everything goes well, one coat. But you can actually, you know, you can definitely add multiple coats. So take your time on this. Basic rule of thumb is when you are doing this finish putty, if you can feel it, you'll be able to see it when you spray it. So if there's a lip, if there's a dimple or a divot or anything like that, you'll be able to see it. And so you just want to take your time on this. Make sure you got a nice smooth finish. I'm going to go ahead and put quite a bit out there. I will save a little bit in case, save about maybe, I don't know, 1/8 of a jar here. That's going to be more than enough. But okay, so we got about, I don't know, 1/8 of a jar left in here. In case I need to do a second coat, kind of touch up any areas. If I get too much into the glass putty, I may want to go over it again with some finish putty. So now, the same thing applies on your finish putty. It's a 1:50 ratio, and so that's the minimum. You want to be over that. This can be a little easier to tell because it's going to turn green. So we'll show you what we got there. It's not a perfect science. You just got to kind of estimate it. On this finish putty, you just want a nice green putty. Not too deep. You don't want it blue. Then you probably got too much, but it'll be a nice green here. Then you'll see the repair may actually look, you know, like a planet when it's all said and done, which is kind of funny. Well, you've got less time to work with this, so just be ready to apply it. You got about 90 seconds. So what I like to do is I like to get as much as I can on the surface at first, and then I'll spread it out. So that's all I'm going to do here. Really just get all of my product on the surface, and then we'll go ahead and spread it around. And like I said, you're not trying to make it thick. You're just trying to cover that all. Make it nice and smooth. curve can be hard. You can either use your finger, we do use that sometimes, or it helps if you get some below the curve and then bring it back up over the curve. Okay, it's getting a little close to setting up on me. So I'm going to go ahead and just use my finger. I'm going to run some right down that curve there. Okay, so I got that. Now, I'm just going to go ahead and clean my glove off. And, you know, keep in mind, we give you 4 sets of gloves, or I'm sorry, 2 pairs of gloves, so 4 gloves total. So if you ever, you know, at this point in the game, if you retired these gloves, you know, generally when I get into it with my finger and I start spreading it with my finger, I'll just retire those gloves. That didn't get too messy, so I need to do that. And this is where, you know, I'm going to go ahead and kind of clean up my stuff. And hopefully that should be the last time I use this, but we'll see. So, let's do that. Get that cleaned up. Keeping your project space nice and clean really helps you move through your project well. Okay. I'm done with that. Alright, so I do want to give that about 15 minutes to set up, so. Okay, and you can, if you want to try to speed it up a little bit, don't rush it though, but we're going to just hit it with the blow dryer. Okay, so one thing to keep in mind is this is, the respirator I'm wearing is one of our disposable P95 respirators. It is not an N95, so not just a dust mask, but it does have the carbon filter in it as well for the organic vapor. So just be aware of that. Yeah, just be aware of that. Normally, you know, hopefully your bathroom will have an exhaust fan, but it smells not too bad with the mask on there. So. Just be safe, you know, wear your respirator while you're doing the project. Don't fool around with that. Okay, so now we just let that set up. This take about 15 minutes and then we'll go ahead and get it ready to spray. Let us know if you have any questions in the chat. We are going to check our chat after this, and we'll try to respond to any questions. Just know our customer service, we try very hard to do very good for our customers and anybody thinking about buying a kit. We definitely are here for you. So if you have any questions, maybe maybe you have a broken tub and you're considering using one of our kits and you're just not sure which one, or you're not sure if you can do the project. We can talk to you about the project. We can talk you through what we would do for the project, recommend which kit to purchase. If there's anything funny about your project, we can tell you, talk to you about it. You know, basically we've got all of the, pretty much any repair is broken up into 3 categories. So you've got minor cosmetic repairs, which are just like small chips, chips, nicks. I mean, it just basically out of the gel coat, but not a clean hole all the way through. So, any what I would consider minor cosmetic, right? Now, this was what I would consider like a mega cosmetic, right? It's larger than a large cosmetic. So, large cosmetic holes is like a fist hole, something about the size of a baseball or slightly larger. Maybe you've got a crack that's, just like a straight up crack that's, maybe up to 9 inches long. That's about as long as you want to do. I would recommend sometimes if it's pushing that 9-inch mark, just get the extra can of glass putty just in case. And then you have your floor crack repairs, which are the weight bearing repairs on the floor. And in those, we include the spray foam. So if you had a crack all the way through here, very soft right there, we teach you how to spray the foam down in there. A lot of people say, oh, that foam, it's not good, it'll never hold. And I would say that you're probably spraying your foam wrong if your foam doesn't hold up and you don't get a firm base. So what we have found, and this is just what most people, and hopefully you watch our channel and you understand what I'm talking about, but there's actually 3 layers of support here. So you have a fiberglass tub, and this is in most bathtubs. So you have the fiberglass floor that you step on. Then you have, most tubs, like fiberglass tubs, are going to have a support board, actually fiberglass to the bottom of the floor. So you can actually have a gap that creates there. That board might start to bow down a little bit, and a gap can create, and it could be just an 1/8 inch, but it's enough to create a weak spot right there. And then you have the deep layer support, which is the support board down to the subfloor, which could be, a 1.5, 2-inch gap, normally something like that. And so you actually have to fill both of those cavities in order to get a strong repair. So that's, our floor crack repair kit. We do a foam demonstration for you in the video. We walk you through, how we do a repair. We do hands-on, a very good demonstration. It's a great demonstration to show you the difference between the shallow layer and the deep layer support. And remember, you got to get both. A lot of people will go in there, they'll use a foam that is not as durable as ours, and they will just spray it in the deep layer support, and they'll leave, an 1/8 inch or a 1/4 inch gap right below the floor, and then they'll repair over it. It won't hold, and then they'll say, well, foam doesn't work, and that's not true. That is just not true. So just know, if your foam's not setting up, you're probably not filling up the hole right. So anyway, just something to keep in mind. It's something we learned years into the job. This was like 2 or 3 years into the job, and I actually learned it on a floor crack repair that didn't hold. I had to go back and fix it, and that's when I realized, I said, whoa, there is a void in here. Even though I had a strong deep layer and it was full on the deep layer, I went back and I noticed, and I was like, wow, there's like a 1/4 inch here of nothing right below the floor, and it was causing that weak spot, which caused my repair to not hold. And that's when I realized you gotta feel for both when you're drilling. and you gotta fill them separately, they're not gonna both fill at the same time. So anyway, that's our floor crack repair kit. Yeah, it's not too intimidating. Just watch the video, call us if you have any questions. These large wall repair kits are very, very user friendly, very easy. You know, people get nervous about drilling holes in their tub, and I'm like, well, your tub's broken already, so that's, you know, you're not gonna be any worse off. So you might as well take the risk. And it's not that much of a, it's not really a risk, honestly. Worst case scenario, your tub is still broken. Best case scenario, you save thousands of dollars. So the downside risk is not there, and the upside risk is quite significant. So we're getting there, but I still want to give this some time. I might stick the blow dryer on it just a little bit. So again, I want to talk to you about, just mentioned we got a pro portal coming out. So what that's going to be is basically we're going to have a portal for anybody that wants to become a tub repair professional. Maybe you want to do it full time, maybe you want to do it part time. It can make, you know, it can be a very, very good gig. Just even doing part time, you can make, you know, $1,000 in a day. Doing tub repair. So, you know, you line those up. It's a niche market. So if you do it right, you build your business right. And we'll teach you how to do that. Our goal is to set up a training program or courses where we not only teach you the trade and some of the nuances of the trade, but also the business side of things, and really how we run business and things that we would do probably differently if we were starting out our business that we look back on. So we really think we're in position to help people really start their own tub repair company in their market. And it's not a franchise, so you're not using our name necessarily, but we do support you in the fact that we would, you know, if you're trained and we're comfortable with you doing repairs out there. We do get calls for people to do service all over the country, and we would love to send business to people that we know and could trust to do repairs and do a good job. And so we're trying to develop that tub repair network. So if you've got any interest, you know, give you an idea of, you know, how cumbersome the equipment and everything is. We can fit the equipment, you know, essentially in the back. For a long time, we ran around in a little Kia Rio or a Hyundai Elantra, and we fit all of our tools in the back of our trunk, and we just scooted around and did tub repairs. We did that for years, and so it could be a nice little part-time gig. Maybe you know, carve out 2-3 days a week, or 1 to 2, or maybe you're starting out and you just do it on Saturdays. But you can make good money. You can make, you know, $500, $1,000 in a day, and you know, if you're part of the pro portal and you get that product in larger quantities, you know, buying our kits and installing them and charging, you can make money on those. But to get into the pro portal, your margins are quite good. So yeah, if that's something you would want to consider, we do have a sign-up sheet on our website. Just in the comments section on the sign-up sheet, just say, you know, you want to get on the list to be in the pro portal, and we will we'll get you on our list. And as soon as that's ready to be launched, we're going to let people know. We're going to let you know how to do it, and then we'll also let you know when our courses are going to be scheduled and how that's going to work. And we want to, not only that, but also in there, you can buy all the tools necessary to run the business like we run it. And that's what we want. We want you to, when we started in this business, it was a very clunky business. We didn't like it. Now we've really streamlined it, slimmed it down, and it's a very efficient, lightweight business is what I would consider it. And it can make you good money. You know, go out and repair taps, you know, 1 day a week, and you make $500 to $1,000 in a week or in a day. That can be an extra, you know, $2,000 to $4,000 in a month just by working 1 day a week. You know, and Saturdays, people, you know, you just line them up on Saturdays and just make it a little side hustle. We have enough business to where we do it full time. So you can even expand it, you know, do it 2, 3, 4 days a week, 5 days a week. We do recommend in our business model, just take a day, you know, at least 1 day if you're just running the service, and do your shop work where you're keeping things organized, keeping your books up to date and things like that. But yeah, it could be a good little deal for you if you're looking for something in 2025 to kind of add to your income stream. Tub repair is a nice little niche that not a lot of people do. Not a lot of people are doing right now. So there's definitely a need. Now, if you just joined us, we had a crack that went here, all the way around, all the way up to about here. So this whole spot was just kind of in there. It's feeling good about that. We're probably going to go ahead and try to get this finished putty sanded down and get that coated. We'll wrap this thing up and we'll go have Christmas. Woohoo! Okay, so in your kit, we do give you the orbital sandpaper. So this is 80 grit sandpaper. I used that on the glass putty. I used it also to prep the surface. Now I'm going to switch over to my 120 grit sandpaper, which is also included in your kit. And so really all you need is the orbital sander, vacuum, blow dryer, drill bits. That's pretty much it. So okay, let's go ahead. We're going to turn this on and get a little loud for a second. we'll do one final wipe because this is going to be the last time we wipe this. And we're going to be blowing a blow dryer on this. You don't want to be blowing a bunch of dust up into your repair. Okay, now this thing, I'm also going to take this off for a second. Normally, don't like to do repairs that have a leak like that, because it's gonna cause a problem. So we're gonna tell them, you know, you need to keep that dry, and frankly, you need to fix that leak, because if the coating gets wet while it's drying, then it will actually suck that water underneath the coating, get a blister, and then that's not a good thing. So here we go. We're nice and cleaned up, nice and hard, good to go. So the final touches. We've got a wipe-on primer that's included in your kit. Doesn't take much. You get about half an ounce, but that's going to be well over what you would need. You just wipe it on there. You just want to make sure you get it all pretty well wet. Spot right here. Okay. All right. This is where, taking your time. I am going to place this 120 grit, and we'll go back over that. Sorry, that would have bugged me. Like I said, if you can feel it, you'll see it. So I'm going to go ahead and clean that up. Now just know that you've got more than enough primer to recoat this. So half an ounce of primer is plenty of primer. So we'll do that part again. To make sure. Okay. All right, there's that. I'm just letting that dry for about 30 seconds. You don't want it to be wet when you spray it. We've got our coating here. Go ahead and swirl that around a little bit. Make sure it's good mixed up. I'm actually going to change seats here, so it'll be a better angle on spraying this. Just in case, I'm going to go ahead and put just a little paper towel over that drain. Not too worried about like an outline or anything, but just don't want it blowing over there too much. Okay, so we've primed it. It's nice and ready. I'll go ahead and hit it with the blow dryer just real quick. Make sure we're good to go. So we've got the primer on it. Now we're ready to spray it. Like I said, I've used this sprayer before, so should be good to go. But we'll find out. Okay, so always the vent hole. You want that facing away. You want to make sure this part is seated down in this part really well, and then point this away from you. So I like to start at the top and work my way down. trying to coat it all. You do want to be careful. You want to be careful because this is quite a large vertical here, so you want to be careful not to build it up too fast. You can cause a drip. So, another thing I'm going to do, I'm going to actually back this up here. one thing you can actually do, and I'm going to go ahead and do this just to show you, and this is actually just a little light here, more light than I'd wanted. So I'm going to darken it down just a little bit. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take some gray white, because I know that was darker gray than I need, so that'll be fine. I'm just going to mix up a batch in here. Now just remember, be sure to have enough catalyst and reducer in there. You don't want to throw off your mixture through off what you're doing. So, and I'm gonna stir that up, and then I'm gonna just add some of that into my solution just to try to darken it down a little bit as I'm finishing up. This is something you can do for sure. You know, this is a good way to adjust on the fly if you feel like you need to. And occasionally as you're getting it on there and you notice, okay, I do want that to be just a little bit darker, you can do this. And so it's a good demonstration. I'm actually glad this tub was this color, because it looks like a very simple color, but yeah.
Alright.
Yeah, doing good. Almost finished.
Cool.
All right. Okay. Oh. Yep.
No, that's alright. I was just peeking.
Okay.
On you.
Yeah, almost finished.
Okay.
Okay, so I mixed that in there. Kind of threw me off a little bit, but. Yeah, that just darkened it down just a hair. probably heard me in here talking to myself. Didn't know what was going on. So, anyway, that's looking pretty darn good. Now, the biggest thing is you want to take your time on this part. You don't want to build it up too fast. You get this far into a repair, you get a drip, it's going to be a real big headache. So just let it dry, give it extra time. Now, if you're blow drying it and you see like a little piece of debris, sometimes your blow dryer will spit out a little piece of debris, and you see it stick to the surface, leave it be, don't touch it, let it dry extra, really let it dry, and then you can take like a box cutter or maybe just a little sharp knife and just try to flick it off of there, but let it dry a lot before you try to do that. That's going to help you a lot. So. Okay, so remember we did 2 ounces of resin. We're going to have well over enough. So that's good. Okay, I think we're going to call it. So that's that. That is extra large wall repair. Process is the same. You know, it just takes a little extra glass putty to get that fixed up. Other than that, it matched really well. Very pleased with it. I think they're going to be super happy with it. And yeah, that's the final shot. Go through and watch it from the beginning if you want. Fast forward. Here's the finished product. Yeah, very happy with that. So we would give that 24 hours to cure. You can come back and wet sand it. That's what we would do. Highly recommend that. Otherwise, you can't spray a blender on it. A lot of times that's what we'll do on our service side. You can blend down those edges and knock down some of that, any rough areas. But in your kit, you will have some finished sandpaper. So when you go back, if you feel it, you can use that finished sandpaper to knock down any rough spots. So that's it. That's the final product. Let us know if you have any questions about your repair. We're happy to take a look and help you through it. So thanks for joining in. Just go to tubrepairstore.com. We'll help you save your tub. All right. Peace out, guys. Have a Merry Christmas. Like I said, put your comments in the chat. We'll try to go back and check those out, okay? All right. See you guys.